had never heard of it before. You say it dates back to the 1970s. Please, in the chat, share that, because on my train ride into work, I will click on that link, because that's the way to do it. Put a link in, not a screenshot. But at any rate, I'll click on that link and I will read it, and I hope other people will as well. But I don't know that that's really his motivation. I don't know that because I think probably statistically that argument doesn't withstand. And if I am correct about that, although I am, open to being redirected in my analysis, if I'm correct that that doesn't hold water, at least one person in this room, yours truly, remains perplexed about why he is going after large segments of our society. And by the way, it may have started with the Mexicans, and then the Venezuelans, and then the Haitians. During the pandemic, the Chinese, and then that may be just a little sidebar.
Muslim travel ban too.
The Muslim travel ban. Now the Somalians and the Afghan people. What's the next group that they're going to go after?
Oh yeah,
one thing I'm thankful for, that the president is supportive of the Jewish community. He goes after the anti-Semitism that goes on, and as a Jew, I am supportive of that. But remember, the admonition by I think it was a Lutheran minister. When they came after the Jews, I was silent. When they came after this group, the Gypsies, I was silent. When they came after this group, I was silent. And now they came after me, and there's nobody to protect me. This is the problem. What's going to be the next group of people that there will be an incident that occurs that will cause this government to say, we've got to do something about this group of people, because it will happen.
Yeah, another small reminder, let's not forget about the Haitians eating the dogs and cats in Ohio.
I went to that town. I was looking to get invited to a barbecue, and nobody invited me, because I never had that. I'm always interested in new ethnic meals to get, and I wasn't able to do that, and I'm so disappointed. But I will say that there were a lot of people that went there, foodies, looking for that opportunity. So there was a positive side to that community. Influx of tourism to that town, looking for an opportunity to have cat and dog barbecue, but it just didn't happen. I'm so disappointed. When you invite me into your community to enjoy amenity, I expect it to be there if I'm traveling hundreds of miles to go there. So please don't bait and switch me like that. Thank you, Howard. We'll go to Andrew, followed by Al.
Good afternoon, Gary. Can you hear me okay? I seem to.
Oh yeah, real good actually.
Okay, good. Because you were breaking up a little bit, so I wasn't sure if it was you or me. Yeah, where do I start? My gosh. I agree exactly with what you just finished saying, that it is a strength. I mean, societies are judged on how they treat the least of their peoples. And that's just the way it is in the West, at least, I would think, traditionally. So I agree 100% with that. In fact, I agree with most of what's been said here on the stage, with some exceptions. This stuff is a trope. It's long-standing. When Donald, and I'll answer the question first. No is the answer to the question. And it's extremist methodologies in order to perform this function that they're doing right now. And I think that's where most of the criticism comes from. Does a country have the right to enforce its regulations for immigration? Absolutely it does. How you'd go about doing that, that's the question. And I think that's the burning burning question here. And I think, obviously, the methodology that's being used is atrocious, vile, actually. But yeah, this is a long-standing trope. If you look at your own history, now I live in Canada, as you well know, so I'm not trying to be preachy. We have our own issues with immigration, and they're long-standing as well. And I think these tropes in the United States, especially, are just part of your history. You go back to the nativism. If it wasn't the Italians, it was the Irish. No Irish need apply. This stuff has gone on forever. It kind of subverted or have been submerged somewhat. But Donald Trump, when he came along, he tipped over that rock, and that's what was underneath it. And he has the ability and has been allowed to speak these things that for a generation, I would think at least, were considered, well, I don't know what you'd call it, considered vile. And I think that's the only word I can express. I try to choose my words with caution, because words have meaning. And I don't think Donald Trump cares. His words are extraordinarily cruel, extraordinarily vile, and he is, and I think the why here is because he's talking to his base. These are low information voters. I don't think they're quite curious enough to actually check to see if what he's saying has any bearing in truth, or if there's any nuance to it. No, it's much easier to just go after that immediate emotional feeling that one has, especially if one feels that I'm not to blame for my own predicament, somebody else is. And you started off with, counting off on your fingers who they're blaming. Well, eventually, they'll start blaming themselves, because some in that cadre will look at another in that cadre and go, you're just not up to being in this group. You don't have the loyalty that is demanded. So eventually they will eat their own. It's just inevitable, because they run out of people to point the finger at. And so even in the in-group, those fingers will start being pointed. So I think that's all I have to say today, Gary, and I thank you for letting me up on stage. I appreciate it. And like I said, we have our own issues here in Canada with our immigration. I think one of the biggest issues lately during the Trudeau reign was the numbers and the lack of housing. And that has caused a huge problem, because there's nowhere to put these people initially. And the other, one other thing I'd like to say, and I'll just, it's anecdotal to some degree. And, when people come to a country, yes, some of them will be on welfare, and it may take them some time to get off it. But I think the rule, and not the exception, the rule is that they do. And they'll open up their own businesses, or they'll go into the job market. Eventually, they'll go to get educated, whatever it might be. I think the majority do that. And I'll give you, if you look at the disabled population, many of whom are unemployed, if you give them a job, if you decide to, yes, I can make those accommodations and have this person work for me, you're going to get a way better employee, because they've been unemployed for so long, and they value the fact that they've got a job and they work that much harder. Their time off work is less than the average worker, and they just they perform better. So I think that is true in the immigrant population as well. And I'll land there. Thank you, Gary.
We'll now go to Al, followed by David, followed by Dave. Al.
Oh, hey, Gary.
Hey, Al.
Great room. Marshall, Howard, Alan, Dave, everybody in the room. I can get very emotional when I think about someone's whole life being completely turned upside down for absolutely no reason, when they're already perfectly existing within, America. And the legal industrial complex and immigration attorneys and the whole system is I've never experienced it. I've never gone through trying to get an American citizenship and being here and working with an attorney. So,
That's not what you said a month ago.
excuse me, Marshall.
I said this is not what you said a month ago. There was an argument about immigration a month ago, and your perspective was
Okay, well, I'm trying to think about kindness a lot because I want to be a gentleman but I also want intelligence. Excuse me, Marshall. Go ahead. I can't hear you. What was that?
I have another word called consistency.
Okay, thank you, Marshall. Consistency. But kindness to me, I like when people are kind to me and I want to be kind to other people, but I also want intelligence and priority of intelligence. And that means decision making. And so, it's my opinion that if you listen to Marshall long enough, eventually you'll be repulsed at the way he communicates. But if you're a gentleman and you're intelligent, great outcomes.
If you were a gentleman, you would come in with the same nickname every day so we would know who you are. And if you were a gentleman, you would not personally attack anyone in the room, much less a moderator. Please view your removal from the stage as an admonition to not do that again. David G. followed by Dave.
Roasting Marshall show.
Hey, Gary. A couple of points in there that sort of dovetail with a lot of Chris's comments as to why this is being foisted on the American people.
It's the Make Fun of Marshall Rankin show.
A lot of Americans don't understand their history, the history of settler colonialism, which if we look at how this country was founded, it was founded by the 1%, which we have today. But back when the country was founded, these were the landowners. These are the guys that got tired of taking orders from King George. But in order to implement their revolution, they needed the white 99% to fight the war. Not only to fight the war, to tame the slavery, to go after the Indians. And so if you look at the documents and how they were laid out, one of the most genius things that they implemented was the freedom of religion, right? Because in old Europe, that's what caused the wars there. The fighting amongst Catholics, Scotch Irish Catholic to Protestant. You had the Spanish fighting the Moors. And so this experiment, this United States experiment, benefited and enriched those that were told that they had a stake in the society, that it wasn't necessarily land ownership as you had to have back in England or a bloodline, but they were able to frame it as white skin privilege. And so that white skin privilege has done the bidding of the 1% ever since this country was founded, from going west, taking on the Indians, taking on new lands that they weren't able to enjoy back in their former.
And I think that's what they was pretty much talking about, the awakening of the chakras. So.
Okay. Okay, it makes sense. That makes sense.
Right. So, I've been pretty much busy, but I've been listening and stuff. It sounds like it helps you, hit the reset button on your cellular regeneration and stuff like that. Kind of like
He's right.
So that's what it.
Just thank you, Lord, for all of these things, and I pray them in your name, Jesus. Amen.
And do you have a praise song?
A praise song.
The song.
What do you think?
You know how to sing praises to your name. Any kind of
Yes, we sing praises to your name. Oh, Lord, praises to your name. Oh, Lord, for
Okay, go to johnforcongress.com. Hope you enjoyed today's Gary Baumgarten Show.
And we sing praises to your